Here we go, and it's only just started. But to say these Benghazi hearings will do to this president what those Watergate hearings ultimately led to for another president, well, historian Jane Hampton Cook says there is a difference, and it's not just the better economy. It could be Michelle Obama. Don't laugh. To hear Jane tell of the right first lady at the right time can save a beleaguered hubby in just the nick of time. Think Hillary Clinton? Think maybe Louisa Adams? Yeah, Louisa Adams, John Quincy's wife, who together with her husband proved America's first power couple and the subject of Jane's fascinating book just out. American Phoenix, John Quincy and Louisa Adams, the War of 1812 and the exile that saved American independence. Jane, welcome to you, and I do want to get into that, but it did remind me, as your book did, about sort of the unappreciated role First Ladies or significant others have in moments like these. Michelle Obama hasn't come out one way or the other on Benghazi, not that she has to at this point, but she has always stood by her husband, and she remains decidedly more popular than her husband. How will that role play out as this ensues?
Well, certainly the First Lady, the President's wife, brings her own talents to the table, and oftentimes she'll play a moral role, a truth-telling role, and because she is so popular, that helps keep him out of trouble a little bit, and it raises his popularity as a result when his wife is doing so well. You know, I was just thinking as well, I mean, Pat Nixon was a very quiet, introverted First Lady, so it wasn't as if she could help her beleaguered husband one way or the other. She was respected, but Michelle Obama has a sort of a different relationship with most Americans, maybe in this day and age where First Ladies are more front and center. Will that make a difference in the long term, or it depends on the gravity of these charges in these hearings? It certainly depends, you know, on the gravity of the charges in the hearings and what the president's role was. We really don't know that yet, and that will make, I think, the biggest difference. But when you look at a First Lady, when you look at someone like Louisa Adams, very often a First Lady compliments the husband and fine-tunes his sharper edges. And certainly when Louisa and John Quincy Adams went to Russia to be the first ambassador to Russia, she did that for him. In fact, they were so successful there that the Tsar of Russia danced with Louisa at a ball to show the whole world that, hey, I'm favoring America now. Yeah. So if a woman can really make a difference in a situation like that and round out her husband's rougher edges. You and I were talking about this, and it really is a great book. I bet I thought of them as maybe our country's first power couple. Yes. And that makes a big difference, doesn't it? I mean, Bill Clinton used to call it, with Hillary at the time, 2 for the price of 1, but it's much more than that. It is much more than that. And then, you know, the president has the official power. The First Lady has the unofficial power. And together they can work together. You look at the health care initiative with President Obama. Michelle Obama had Let's Move, a complement to his initiative. So they do work together. And in the case of the Adamses, this was the first time Russia had ever accepted our independence and our trade. They were so successful that the British Prime Minister complained the Tsar of Russia had become half an American. And as a result, England went to the peace table with us because they were feeling so much pressure from Russia's favor of America. So it really does make a difference, that balance between the husband and the wife, the president and the First Lady. Yeah, and I think in Adams' case, there was such controversy to how he became president in the first place that it was one of those first elections where the guy who you know, won the popular vote didn't make it all the way. That would have been Andrew Jackson at the time, and he ends up losing 4 years later to Jackson. So that never left. But the sting was eased by just his wife, right? That's right. And, you know, Louisa held a ball for Andrew Jackson before that election to try to soften, you know, the edges between the two of them. So often a woman can bring her talents into a unique situation. In Louisa's case, she could speak French fluently. So when they were in Europe, she was the perfect American diplomat's wife because she could talk about America and she could use the language of diplomacy, French, to do it in a way that really, really did help America. And John Quincy and Louisa came out of their own exile. They rose like phoenixes, the Greek firebird, to greater heights because they were pretty down on their luck before this gig in Russia. And they helped America do the same thing. We rose from the ashes as a country after being economically depressed after the War of 1812. And, you know, the same can be said today. In order to thrive economically, we've got to survive as a country as well.
Jane Hampton Cook, thank you very much. Phoenix teaches you anything. It's that politicians never go away. They can resurrect at any time. Thank you, Jane. Well.